During the two-day Brics summit that concluded Wednesday, the 5 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, have agreed to the concept of establishing a development bank. But further talks are needed to finalize the plan. The bloc also agreed to establish a $100 billion contingency reserve fund to help member nations experiencing liquidity problems. The collective strength of the Brics has become a crucial factor in the global economy. So the BRIC countries have agreed to establish a new development bank to finance infrastructure, and they have agreed to create a contingency reserve agreement about $100 billion. What do you think of such move?
So it speaks something about economic emergence of these countries. Mm-hmm. In a way, these are all still, I think, especially India, China, they're still developing countries in some aspects because we have enormous amount of population to be uplifted from the levels of poverty. So in this context, I think if you're looking at BRICS as such, it is an emerging bloc of nations based on mostly economic interests that how to preserve their growth and how to promote it. I think this is the basic philosophy of BRICS countries.
So the idea of establishing a development bank would help to preserve the growth?
I think it is indeed a great idea. I think probably for an Indian it is a very satisfying because this idea has come from India last year. I think there is indeed a principal agreement between BRICS countries to set up the bank. There is still, of course, some discussion about how you evolve its administrative structure and how its nature of functioning. These are all things that are being still, I think, worked out. But the good thing about them is that they have come out of the contingency reserve fund of $100 billion. It's not a small money. And China, of course, has a lion's share of $41 billion, I think. The rest of it is coming from the others. This contingency will help in terms of if there is a problem, if there is some kind of an economic problem tomorrow in any of these countries, perhaps you can have some fund to look at to start with. Then, as and when the BRICS Bank takes shape, I think its focus is going to be infrastructure development. So if you're looking at it, there is a great infrastructure projects emerging. And imagine a time when you fund your own infrastructure projects, both from your internal resources and from the resources of the BRICS. I think it's a great idea. And probably in the next, this is a still emerging bloc in many ways. Every year the leaders meet, there is a new idea coming up, a new idea shaping and shaping up, and a new idea being implemented. So I think economically this BRICS grouping as such appears to have taken off.
And the BRICS countries account for 1/5 of the world's GDP. And how do you think they can convert this economic strength into a joint political clout?
I think they should not be in a hurry to do it. Unlike any other bloc in the past, this bloc is basically its foundation is economic. I think, and 3 of the 5 members, that is Russia, China, India, we are neighbors. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of strengths, we have a lot of affinity, but at the same time we have issues of certain importance which we cannot brush away, all 3 of us. So I think basically it will, for the time being, will be, in my view, an economic bloc focusing on our economic emergence. You know, with money comes influence. With influence comes your stature. So unless you are firm in your economic standing...
And what do you think of Xi Jinping's first trip abroad as the Chinese president?
Recently, I happened to meet the new president during the interview that he gave to the BRICS journalists. I happened to spend a moment with him other than the interview. He appears very confident and And I think his new, that is his first trip abroad, I think it is a very carefully chosen, very carefully choreographed event, in the sense that he chose Russia. China, Russia seems to be working out a new pattern of relationship with a new strategic rather importance of its own, and of course the Brics. And he has chosen, that means that he is visiting the African continent, where China is investing a lot of resources, and then of course the Brics summit as it is, that the emerging economies. So I think it has made an excellent beginning for him. I think Madam Peng's emergence itself is a kind of a new experience, both for China. I could see how everyone in China is excited about it. But I think this is the time that China would like to project that particular concept of a first lady out into the world, and that with a glamorous face and with a very charismatic personality. When I heard on your television, on CCTV the other day, that she was more popular in the past than the president himself. So it speaks quite a great deal about China's new power projection. It gives you an option of a soft power projection to the world inside China. I think she is already very adept in I think she was ambassador of AIDS program in China, and she is very outgoing. In fact, her appearance in Russia, that too with some orphan children, looked very interesting, in the sense that she got very involved. So I think probably it's a new experience to China. It's a new experience to the world, and I think that's also a very good beginning, I must say.